Hey everyone, Sarah here with Courageous Color, and today I have a sunrise painting for you. We're going to go ahead and start with our paint palette colors. We have black, white, brown, orange, and yellow. I'm starting here with a base coat of the white paint. These are all heavy-bodied acrylic paints by Saks. You can find them on Amazon, but for this painting you could use any type of acrylic paint that you have available. For kids, I would suggest using tempera paint. Now that we have our white base coat on the top, we can go ahead and add some yellow. Now the yellow is going to blend nicely with the white because that paint is still wet. I'm going to continue to blend the yellow and the white together, pulling in from the edges of the canvas so that I don't get a mess and get some weird brush strokes on my painting. And I'm going to blend it so that it's warmer or more yellow in the middle, which is where my horizon line will be. Now I'm adding a base coat underneath that warm yellow so that I can add my orange and be able to blend that nicely as well. And I'm just going to keep with the same pattern of brush strokes pulling in from the sides so that the yellow and the orange will blend nicely together to create that sunrise effect. Now, as I'm blending these colors together just to the desired color that I would like, I'll let you know if this was a sunset painting, you would just go ahead and use some warmer colors, maybe even purples, pinks, things like that. But since it's a sunrise, for me, that's more of a yellow-orange combination. So as always, whether you're a beginner or a teacher or you're working with children, you're always going to paint the background of the painting first, and then go ahead and add the foreground in over top of it. And so on the bottom here, you'll see that it's a little bit messy, but then when we add the foreground, the mountains that we're going to add in, it will just cover that part. So it's always background first and then add the foreground afterwards. It's very difficult to paint your background after you've painted your foreground, but it's easier to be able to cover up your background with your foreground. And you'll always get warmer colors as you get closer to the horizon of a painting. So you don't want to start with your oranges at the top and then come down to your white color. You want to start with your white color at the top, get a little bit darker into yellow, a little darker into orange, and then you see I've added the sort of red orange, the very dark orange, and now almost like a burnt sienna color to the sunset so that it continues to get warmer as you go toward the horizon. The other thing is this helps me to use the same brush from sort of top to bottom, if that makes sense. So I know that I'm using a lighter color, I'm going darker. And then I'm not going to bring my paintbrush back up to the top because that would make a mess. So I continue to get into a darker and a darker color and use the same brush all the way down. So now that we have our layers of sunlight that are shaped almost like a valley, I am going to use my palette knife to create some mountains. It'll be a little bit more difficult than usual just because my canvas panel is laying flat and not on an easel, but we'll go ahead and try it. Okay, so I'm putting 3 big mountains in the background, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill them in with this really dark gray color. So it's my Mars Black with just a little bit of white in it, and the palette knife is proving a little too difficult for this laying flat technique. So I'm going to go ahead and use my brush and just try to get a consistent color for these 3 mountains, almost like a silhouette in front of this sunrise. And I'm making sure to pull the paint down toward the bottom of the canvas. If you continue to try to make the peaks and go back and forth and up and down, you're going to make a huge mess. And you're going to get back into your oranges and yellows and cover up all that good sunrise color that you created just before. So I want to get this all filled in with this nice gray color. And then my second to last step will be to darken this gray just a little bit with the black and start to add some landscape elements that bring this painting closer to the viewer. Once again, I am pulling the paint in from the sides to create sort of like foothills or little hills that make this valley type of scene in front of the mountains that we created in the background. You could, if you wanted to, make the mountains a blue color, make these foothills out of a green mossy color. But for me, since this is a sunrise, I'm thinking everything here in this landscape area is still really dark because the sun just isn't up all the way yet. I'm dabbing in just a little bit of bushes here, but it's not sticking so well. So I'm going to take my palette knife and scrape away some paint. And that way, when I dab in these bushes and this greenery, so to speak, in the foreground, it will stick to the canvas well. I'll give this a little bit of height and depth here so that everything is not exactly the same shape. And then that way it looks like some different trees or bushes right here in the foreground. And the last thing will be to add a little sun deep in the background here. I'm going to start with the bottom of my brush. I'm going to finish it off with my finger just so there's no lumps. And that'll be that. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Leave a comment below on what painting video you'd like to see next.